Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Just to remind you that I'm not a professor. My professor is there. Professor Shehu is my oga. When I get to professor, I'll let you know. Not yet. Not even doctor yet. Okay, this is a very Herculean task for me this afternoon. This session was meant to be 1.5 hours, but I've been asked to do it in 45 minutes. Let me see how I can pull that magic. It's going to be tough, but what can we do? I'll quickly want to, I don't know if the moderator wants to, I have to call out the panelists myself? Okay, fine, okay. So just to join me here in this session actually is on moving from grey listing to resilience, the role of non-profit organizations in strengthening AML CFT compliance. And in the panel today I have Ms. Gina Wood from Giaba. In no particular order, please. Please, can you join us here quickly? Gina Wood from Giaba. Thank you. My personal person. Akwaba. Also, we have online. I hope she's online now. We also have online, joining us digitally, Ms. Kerry Thomas from the FIU Trinidad and Tobago. Okay, so I can see that beautiful smile. If you can see it too on the screen. Can you just confirm that you are with us? Okay, fine. Can you just say hello to us so we can confirm we can hear you? Just say hello so we can confirm we can hear you.
Hi, good.
Very good.
Morning or good afternoon.
Very good. You're welcome, Kerry. Also to join us in this panel from the African Union Counter-Terrorism Center is Mr. Apau Richard. Mr. Apau Richard, please. Okay, welcome. Please, clap. It's not easy to do this thing. Clap for him, please. And we also have here Mrs. Temitope Erinomo from school. Sorry if I massacred Mr. Sorry. Mr. Temitope Erinomo. Sorry. I have not had time to go and study your name. Erinomo. Am I correct? Oh, okay. You're welcome. And also, finally, but that's not the least, from Burkina Faso, Mr. Chiare P. Sebao. Please join us on the panel, Mr. Sebao Chiare. Is it here? Mr. Suare Tobar. Okay. Okay, fine. Just so that we don't waste so much time, we should be leaving here before 4, hopefully. So once again, thank you very much for having us in this panel, and we are going to be discussing grey listing. This will be the role of non-profit organizations in strengthening AML CFT compliance. So once again, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, delegates and all my colleagues, it is my honor to moderate this session, and the session is going to address one of the most misunderstood AML CFT implementation issues, which is the proper role of the non-profit organizations. So across Africa, we have seen a significant misunderstanding, and NPOs are actually indispensable in humanitarian activities we all know, education, healthcare, property allegation, and so on and so forth. Because of these activities, they have far-reaching implications for vulnerabilities for terrorism financing and abuse. However, the real challenge here is that we need to ensure that the NGOs, irrespective of the role they are playing, okay, you are sneaking in. Please, can we please recognize Mr. Terry? Let's clap for him, please. Thank you for coming. Okay, so our discussion today is not about NPOs, turning NPOs into banks. No, it is not about that. It is about helping the NPOs become stronger, more transparent, and more resilient and better protected, in the national scheme of things when we talk about AML systems. So the panelists don't need further introduction. I believe from the packs you've seen their bios. So we'll go straight into the questions. And please, you'll do me a favor to be as concise as possible. 1 minute, 60 seconds if possible for each of the questions. So I'm going to start with the first question. And this question will go to all the panelists, but just please try and do it in 45 seconds to 60 seconds. Why should NPOs care about AML? More like, many civil societies, organizations, they perceive AML CFT as the responsibility of governments and the regulators and the banks and law enforcement. So from your institutional perspective, why should NPOs care about AML CFT, and what role do they play in protecting themselves, their beneficiaries, and other wider financial system participants in the fight against terrorism abuse? So I'll start, not in any particular order. Let's first start from Gina of GABA. 60 seconds.
Thank you very much, Professor Patterson. My simple response is that AML CFT is about ensuring sustainable development and human security. And I believe that is what NPOs are about. So they should be concerned about having or working in an enabling environment to achieve their purpose. Thank you.
Thank you. So let us focus exactly as it impact. It's going to affect us in the grade. We have a pass mark for technical compliance. Now we have to go to resilience. So how is it going to affect us in that respect? Also, focus on that in terms of our grade listing.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think what Gina mentioned is basically the issue, because what problem are we trying to address? We are trying to deny terrorist groups access to funds to ensure that there was no terrorism. And every NGO or NPO present here, with insecurity, you cannot function effectively as you should. Some are working in humanitarian, some are working in the health, some are working in the peace and security. And like she rightly mentioned, it's about the security of the country. And so when there was safety, when terrorist groups are denying access to funds, because for us in the terrorism and counterterrorism, we say that financing is oxygen for terrorism. And so if the groups continue to have access to funds, then there will be no peace in the country, and NGOs will not have the conducive environment to operate.
Thank you very much. So are you going to speak in French? So I can put on.
Oui, d'accord, je peux intervenir en français. D'accord, merci bien. Tout d'abord, je tenais d'abord à m'excuser parce que je n'étais pas prévu pour ce panel. C'est le panel précédent. Mais n'empêche, je vais y contribuer avec les éléments de réponse que j'aurai à ma possession. Ce qu'il faut dire par rapport à votre préoccupation, c'est que les organismes à but non lucratif sont des acteurs incontournables du développement. Et comme Madame l'a si bien dit, elle participe aux côtés de l'État à la mobilisation des ressources et à la planification des actions de développement. Et de ce fait, il est important qu'il y ait un environnement favorable pour leur permettre de mener leurs actions. Et cet environnement favorable-là doit faire en sorte qu'elles n'aient pas accès à des financements occultes pour les exposer, en tout cas, à des risques de blanchiment des capitaux et de financement du terrorisme. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. So again, we are looking at how this is going to impact the risking of our countries, right? Let's focus on that. Okay, let's hear from you.
Okay.
Temitope.
Good afternoon, everyone. My simple response to the question why MPO should be interested in AMS-CFT, it's simply because the issues that have been discussed underlies every aspect of human endeavors, which CSO cares about. Secondly, the reason why they should be concerned is simply also because now you have to be concerned about an issue where your name is being mentioned. NPOs are directly impacted in terms of the targets, beneficiaries that they serve, in terms of their own financial and operational issues. So it is a key issue that NPOs should be interested in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So we will go back to, again, you know, when we say we should comply, let's hear from Kerry, particularly from the FIU's perspective. You know, you are the anchor of the actions that we need to do to stay away from the risky or even get out of the listing issues. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here today to contribute to this conversation. I have to go back to the previous panelists' discussions because MPOs they should care as to what occurs in terms of the AML safety regime, and they have a key responsibility from our experience in terms of validating the kind of information that comes out from a risk assessment. On our Trinidad and Tobago's experience was that the members who were part of the working group was able to contribute significantly in terms of, and that is the MPO representatives of the group, was able to validate what was some of the key specific sector vulnerabilities. And that makes your risk assessment more applicable and the risk-based mitigating measures truly targeted and proportionate as it relates to the government's application. Our experience is that MPOs play that key role in terms of being a partner, not only for validating the information, but also relating the information to the wider sector.
Thank you.
So I got for time, so thanks.
Thank you very much. I think we've got the message. Now, because you see, each time we talk about getting out of the grey list, we're looking beyond technical compliance, right? So, and every time we talk about effectiveness, we look at how well we have been able to manage the risks we have identified. So the risk-based approach becomes important here. So what does the risk-based approach mean in practical terms? I'm going to take it in this order. I'll ask the DGAT from Burkina Faso to take this first, and then later SCUMO in that order. In 60 seconds each. Just tell me, what is the risk-based approach? What does it mean? And how will it help us in getting us prepared so that we don't get into the grey list, or if we're there already, you just get out of grey list, right? Burkina Faso, congratulations. So how did the risk-based approach help you in doing that? And what would you then say is the risk-based approach so that those who are here can understand what to do, just like you?
D'accord, merci bien. Il faut dire que l'approche basée sur les risques part du principe qu'il ne faut pas appliquer des mesures générales à tous les secteurs. Il faut cibler les organisations qui sont les plus vulnérables pour leur appliquer des mesures appropriées. Ça, c'est vraiment le principe de l'approche basée sur les risques. Et je dirais que pour les questions de conformité, pour ce qui concerne le Burkina Faso, dans le passé, on appliquait les mesures à toutes les organisations de la société civile. Ce qui faisait que nous n'étions pas conformes parce qu'on n'arrivait pas à identifier les domaines à risque et les organisations les plus vulnérables. Et donc, en utilisant le principe de l'approche basée sur les risques, nous avons mené une évaluation sectorielle qui nous a permis de déterminer les domaines les plus à risque. Et au Burkina Faso, nous avons déterminé 5 domaines qui ont été considérés comme les plus à risque, notamment les domaines de l'humanitaire, de l'environnement, de la santé, de l'éducation et les domaines expressifs tels que l'art et la culture.
Thank you, thank you. I think you made the point, and I'll come to you now, from your school perspective. You know, you deal a lot with NPOs, right? And we've always been emphasizing risk-based approach. So how will this help you in ensuring you don't get grade-listed the next time the FATF comes to Nigeria? Or that, I mean, how did you apply this in making sure that it did not affect your mutual evaluation that is upcoming?
Thank you very much. If we just simplify it in terms of what exactly risk-based approach means to us in Nigeria and in school in particular as regards supervision of NPOs. Now for us, it simply means risk understanding. And secondly, it means your ability to communicate the understanding of that risk to the sector operators. And for me, once you get that on the part of the regulators and you get that communication clearly to the sector, that forms the foundation of your risk business. And definitely, you should have a good sale in your mutual evaluation.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now I come to you now, the headmaster of all the FIUs in all the countries. From your gearback perspective, what will you be looking out for when we talk about risk-based approach and how this can help us prepare so that we don't get, into the grey list, and if we are there, we will get out, particularly as it relates to the activities of the NPOs.
Thank you very much. Now you are calling me a headmaster.
Headmaster,
You
yes.
can continue calling me professor. All right. So thank you for the question. We have heard about identifying the subsets of NPOs that fall within the FATF definition of NPOs, using information available to identify the vulnerabilities, that is, by their characteristics and their how they operate and the rest, what makes them vulnerable to terrorist financing abuse, applying targeted measures to them, that is, not applying a blanket measures to all of them, being able to segregate or identify the subset of NPOs that are at risk, and then applying targeted measures, including the allocation of resources to implement the risk-based approach. That is, whether there's the level of monitoring, whether reporting, that is provided reporting, etc., etc. And then also, what I can add, that is to what has been said, is that understanding of risk is not static. So we have to continue reviewing the understanding of risk to make sure that lower risk do not turn into higher risk, and even if they do, you have the measures in place to mitigate them.
Continuous risk assessment,
Continuous risk assessment.
Continuous risk assessment.
And also you have to continuously review the implementation of measures to identify and address unintended consequences.
All unintended consequences.
My last take home will be that we should continue dialoguing.
Talk to yourselves.
Yes.
Okay, talk to yourselves. Okay. So,
CFT
so let's leave it there. I think you still have another opportunity to add to that because of time. So let's move to let's now take the issues around government's involvement. What are governments expected to do so that the countries don't go into the grey list? And if you are going to the grey list, you know how you can, if you're already there, you know how you can get out. So my question is, under the FATF recommendation 8 and under the wider FATF framework, what are governments expected to do? Now I'm going to start with you, Gavas, so headmistress. What are governments expected to do to protect NPO sector from terrorist financing abuse without over-regulating them, you know, particularly the legitimate civil society organizations? What do you think governments should do?
Thank you very much. I believe we are still speaking in the context of grey listing. Absolutely. And avoiding going back. When countries are placed on the grey list, before countries are placed on the grey list, the governments make high-level political commitments to work with the FATF and the FSRB to implement the measures and ensure the exit of those countries. In terms of NPOs, they are not treated differently from other sectors because the weakness in one sector can cascade into other sectors. What governments are expected to do is to live up to the high-level political commitment, translate what is on paper into action. When we say that we are working with NPOs, we have to build trust, we have to be open and candid, we have to also ensure that the measures required under recommendation 8 are effectively implemented. And what are these measures? We have already mentioned them here, the risk assessment, updating them and all sorts of things. We'll have to ensure that we have adequate resources. We identify those who can be worked with, you mobilize stakeholders, you identify technical assistance needs, you identify technical assistance partners, that is correct technical assistance partners. I believe somebody mentioned about priorities.
Priorities,
follow the priority of the technical assistance provider. You should be able to dictate what you are looking for and know what you are looking for. Identify the low-hanging fruits and deal with them immediately. And then you also look at having the broader strategy that will enable you to even go beyond implementation of the standards.
Okay. So let's hear from Ms. Kerry, so that we can also learn from other jurisdictions like Trinidad. So let's hear from her, and then we can then go to specific NPO expectations. So let's hear from you quickly. It's 45 seconds.
One of the things that governments have to focus on is maintaining that dialogue with the sector, and not just maintaining the dialogue with the sector, but also allowing for the continuous assessment of risk. So that aspect of maintaining that partnership with not just the NPOs, but even the financial institutions, because that's one of the things that we would have done. We maintain a tri-sector, multi-sector approach, so that everyone that needs to have a say is able to have a say and is also able to contribute to the dialogue. All of this builds into your risk matrix and your risk profiling of the NPO sector, and it allows them to also have meaningful and impactful contributions, because when they see that their input is able to change legislation, when they see that their contributions are able to make changes to procedures, it builds that trust and it builds that momentum to ensure that resilience within the sector and maintaining whatever your rating is for recommendation 8.
Okay, thank you very much. So now I would like to just hear from Skumo. What do you think the governments should do, just so that they can wrap it up and then focus on the NPOs themselves?
Yeah. Thank you very much. If you look at the wordings of recommendation 8, now you will understand that the primary responsibility that recommendation 8 imposed on government is actually the protection of that sector. Now, oftentimes, governments don't get that assignment and they respond negatively. Now, with protecting the sector, you must have understanding that this is a sector that is under vulnerability to be abused by this terrorist organization. So governments are under obligation to support them with guidance. Governments are under obligation to ensure that there's proper risk understanding and this risk are properly communicated to this person. And this risk are also updated to ensure that the operators or the NPOs knows exactly how to protect themselves.
Okay, thank you very much. So basically what we are saying is that the arguments against over-compliance should not be a reason why NPOs should not be accountable. They still be accountable and they must be seen to be accountable and must also follow the proportionate measures required by the system so that you don't get issues around being grey-listed, because that will affect your mutual evaluation outcomes, right? Okay, so how can poor implementation contribute to grey listing? This is the core, basic, major question that I want you to focus on, giving very, very sharp responses here. So let me start with you, Mr. Boa. How can poor implementation, of recommendation 8 and other related AML obligations contribute to grey listing or increased monitoring?
Is it time?
Time done it just now. Okay.
He's saying that you have more time because. Yeah.
Okay, quickly, before we go to the.
Yeah, so you see, my approach to this is that I think sometimes we also have to be a bit careful not to shift responsibility, right? And I'm very much particular about that. If you look at the entire architecture of money laundering or even the financing of terrorism that we are so much scared about, if you look at the portfolio, the NPO side could form about just about 1% of the situation, right? There are so many measures that have to be put in place, but I think sometimes we tend to always take the easy approach rather than going for the measures that are most hard to reach. In terms of the poor implementation, basically, NGOs can comply and can cooperate as much as government is willing to engage them. I think we also have to get that. And so for me, I see the responsibility to be much of government effectiveness, because sometimes panicking enables government to take so many decisions that are counterproductive. And then we put in place institutions that they themselves are not sustainable. And there are so many cases across the continent that you see institutions existing in name and in practice for purposes of either delisting from the grey list, but sustainably those institutions are not working effectively, and then it's not becoming self-sustaining. So these things are, for me, are responsibilities of government, because across the country, government has a responsibility to ensure that every institution, whether NGO or for profit, are well regulated within the country, right? Then there are institutions in place. And for me, if those institutions are effectively working, they are applying the measures, whether risk-based or even identifying the key vulnerabilities, we wouldn't be in a situation where when there was a need for assessment, we are always panicking and doing measures.
Always be ready, ever ready, right?
Exactly, so that we don't do what I call counterproductive to the security environment.
Thank you very much. So let us take it home now. Take away. What are I think this time I'll ask the gentleman from Burkina Faso to help us here. What are the things that you think the NPO should take, away from this conference, as the to-dos, the things they need to do once we leave this conference today, to ensure that they prepare themselves and not take fire brigade measures when they leave this place, so that grey listing will no longer be our language anymore in Africa. What are the things you think we should do, the NPOs, before I come to you, the audience?
Bon, si on peut reprendre la question.
No, the interpreter is not. I'm hearing French.
C'est bon, j'ai compris.
Can you interpret, please?
D'accord, ok, merci bien. Les leçons apprises d'abord, c'est la concertation entre les acteurs. j'ai compris qu'il faut que les acteurs se parlent. Parce qu'il y a des moments où les acteurs étatiques pensent pouvoir réguler un secteur, mais peut-être que les aspects de régulation peuvent être, en tout cas, pas productifs pour ce secteur. Ça, c'est d'abord le premier aspect. Le deuxième aspect, c'est la sensibilisation. Parce qu'il ressort que la plupart des OBNL ne connaissent pas véritablement leurs obligations. Et donc, il est du devoir des organes, en tout cas en charge de la régulation, de sensibiliser les OBNL afin qu'elles maîtrisent leurs obligations en matière de LBCFT. Et l'autre enseignement que je tire, c'est que l'État aussi doit pouvoir créer des cadres d'épanouissement des OBNL. Quand je parle de cadre d'épanouissement, c'est de faire en sorte qu'il y ait une concertation permanente, non seulement entre l'État et les acteurs de la société civile.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, merci.
Miss Headmistress, tell us in one sentence, what are the NGOs supposed to do to be ready, and how can they collaborate with government to work together to ensure that we strengthen the system so we don't get into breakage?
Thank you very much, Professor. In one sentence, NPOs must unite, speak with one voice, collaborate with government authorities, and share real-time information.
Thank you very much. So I come to you, the audience now. And we're going to take, I don't know how many, 3 questions or 2, maybe one each from an NGO, one from government representative, and maybe one from the financial institutions, maybe, if we can. Make it very short, concise. Don't take another lecture.
Who has a question? Okay,
Very concise.
Who's the next person?
One
From
NGO.
you?
Okay, I
So
think
let's
that
start.
lady there. Can we give it to that lady there? NGO. Let's start with that.
All
She's
right.
an NGO. Yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Tension Bakure, Executive Director of Association of Non-Governmental Organization, Tambo, in the
Can you
Gambia.
speak up a bit louder? Sorry.
Okay, I'm hungry maybe. Anyway, thank you to the panelists. What NGOs should do? I think, number one, we have to throw back the ball to you people. Government should provide an enabling environment. How?
That's it. You have said it all.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So let's hear from an FIU. An FIU. She has thrown the ball now to government. FIU is government. So let's hear from an FIU. FIU? No FIU?
No. He has a question.
Or regulator? One regulator?
The gentleman here said he has a question.
Is there a regulator? NGO? I will take an NGO because of time. Okay, fine. Let's take him.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair Panelist. My question is about if you have any reflection or analysis that you can share about the increasing of attack of terrorists while the implementation of all this effort that you are doing to get out from the green list. I don't know if Nigeria can just respond to that question.
Temitayo, you take that. Okay, the question is, what are your lessons that you can share with them so they can also be, is that not what? Okay, repeat your question.
The question is that I want to know if you have any analysis that you can share about the increase of terrorist attack while all this effort that countries are doing to get out from this grand list.
Okay. Why are the terrorist attacks still continuing? Am I correct? Why is it heightening? No? Okay. From your own experience. Despite all the efforts that have been put in place, what are the, so quickly, in 60 seconds.
Thank you very much. My response would be that you must also understand that
One house, please.
the terrorism financing or the terrorism environment is also changing. It's not waiting for all the responses that were provided for our exit from the grey list. And you must also understand the efforts the government has also been putting in place. Yes, as much as terrorist attacks are going on, now the national combating ability is also being built up to ensure that these attacks and these incidences are also mitigated. Thank you.
Okay, so can we take something from the regulators, like more like feedback from a regulator or FIU here, or a bank, and then we close. Is there a regulator? Regulator, okay, good.
Thank you very much. My name is Usman Sharif Jutta. I work with Borno State Agency for Coordination of Sustainable Development and Humanitarian Response. I think I will respond to what this gentleman has just asked. Apart from our experience in Borno State, which happens to be the epicenter of insurgency, apart from trying to, mitigate the official channels of terrorism financing, they have their own ways of raising funds. In some of the hard-to-reach area, they put a levy to the people in the community that you will pay so amount of money to us, will protect your farm, will protect your animals, will not allow anybody to come and rustle your animals, this, that. And there is one lectured region, Baga, where it was known with production of high-quality fish. They venture into that business with hundreds of millions. They are making a lot of money there. So despite all these efforts by the Skumul and what have you, they also have their alternative way of sourcing their own funds. And such gesture is reducing, but it's not completely cutting away.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much for helping us there. So any questions from a bank or developmental organization? Any questions from a bank or developmental organization? None? Okay, so given that there are no other questions, let us wrap up this session. Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. But before we go, I'd like to just remind us so that we have something to take home with, to go and act on. First, MPOs should not, care that MPOs should care about AML-CFT, because if you don't, that is the starting point for us to go into a grey list, right? Secondly, the FATF recommendation 8 does not require blanket, application. However, NPOs still have obligation to ensure that they are accountable, right? That way, we can work together to avoid grey listing. Number 3, the risk-based approach is the safest way for everybody to ensure that we are in compliance. And number 4, governments also have a role to play. And we will all look up to government to provide all the necessary facilities to ensure that we can all comply, right? And then lastly, the NPOs are expected to strengthen their governance within their systems and not go to sleep. So that way, at the end of the day, we will leave this conference, we will have something to go back home, to go put in place to ensure that we don't get into the grey list, and if you are there, you get out of it. Thank you very much. Thank you, my panelists.
Thank you so much.